Hey, Phil here again. I know it's been a while. I wanted to say sorry for the long wait, but I've had a big kind of life upset change here. As you can see, there's brand new room because I moved. Um, but today, I'd like to jump into a video that I wanted to do earlier, but never really got a chance to. And that's about goal setting. And when I'm talking about goal setting, I don't mean motivation per se. We were talking about motivation earlier on, you're like the driving force behind what is causing you to make your life change. Where you want to drop weight, you want to be able to be more active, more physical, that kind of thing. That is a motivation definitely. But here we want to look at goals, the small steps in between, and then how we're going to progress. Because you don't want to have, starting out, you're brand new, you're fresh, and then this giant mountain of an obstacle at the very end, and you're trying to reach that. You want to have small steps in between that are obtainable, and your focus is going to change while you're working on these goals. Okay, so first I want to identify, let's go with three different types of goals. Not specific to every person, but these are probably the three more common ones that we're going to see, or the three that you're probably going to start out setting for yourself. So the first one is going to be weight. Numbers, you're going to want to see smaller numbers on the scale. That's usually where everybody starts out. They want to drop pounds, they want to shrink, they want to lose weight, and they think that the biggest thing is numbers on the scale. The second one will be physical ability. Sorry, I'm not a big editor, and I like the kind of video log. I do say a lot. I apologize. Just as easier for me to get through stuff. I can do it a little more naturally. The second one will be a physical transformation. You want to become, able to do more things. You want to be able to climb. You want to be able to run. You want to be able to jump. That kind of stuff. Like that's very basic things. But maybe you want to play sports. Maybe you want to play softball. Maybe you want to join like a women's league, something, or a men's league. You want to play dodgeball, anything like that. It's not so much about changing your size or your shape. You just want to enhance your physical performance. You want to be able to do more things, not be out of breath, clutching yourself, wheezing and gasping all the time. And the third one is going to be you want to pronounce certain parts of your body, maybe. You want to become more muscular. You want to become slimmer. You're not so concerned about the numbers, but you want to fit that size 34 jean that you used to wear 2, 3 years ago. Um, Again, we're not going to look at numbers in this one because you're having two conflicting paths. If you're trying to make a physical change, you can't be held back by the numbers because the two or three or four or five different kinds of exercise styles what you're going to be eating, they're all going to start to conflict when you're trying to get these multiple results. So let's pick a goal, let's pick a type of exercise or an action plan that will get us to that goal, and then let's redefine our goal once we're there. And let's not try to cross them before. Okay, so the first one, and I think probably the one that's the most detrimental to most people, is the number game. Really worried about seeing the numbers drop on the scale, and it is a big seller at first because you're going to be dropping a lot of pounds if you are overweight or if you're not used to exercising. It's going to be a large change right off the bat before a physical transformation, before you start seeing tone pop out, or before you start fitting smaller clothes. You're going to definitely be seeing a difference in the numbers in your weight. But that's only going to last so far, depending definitely on the type of training you're doing, the type of eating you're doing. If you're lifting a little bit of weights mixed in with some cardio, like say you're going to a gym, so you're starting out, you're going to be building muscle tone underneath. Like if you have a cylindrical shaped arm, you're going to be building up muscle tone underneath while your fat is shrinking down. They may happen near the same time, so it looks the same size. Muscle is denser than fat is, well, wherever, but fat weighs a lot less. So if you're building up a lot of muscle, you're dropping a lot of fat. You might even go up in weight. A lot of clients I've had in the past get really depressed because they go home, they say like, I gained 2 pounds this week, and then I ask them like, do you feel better? Well, I feel a lot better. Well, are you out of breath as much? No, not at all. But I'm not. My friend, she lost 3 pounds this week, and I'm up 2. Like I don't know what to do. I'm losing here, and it's not that you're losing. It's just that your body is changing, and people are way too fixated on numbers. You can't unless you want to be like rail thin and super skinny. Maybe you do. You can diet and diet and diet and do a lot of cardio and not a lot of weights, and you can get that. But it's probably not the most advisable thing, and it's probably not the healthiest thing. Even if you're doing like marathon running or something like that, you're going to drop pounds, but at the same time, your body's going to compensate in certain ways that it can use food more economically over a long distance kind of thing, like you're burning energy over a long period of time. You're only going to see number loss for so long, and you can't get depressed when that number loss stops, because you need to understand why. You can't drop down to 0. You can't disappear. That's no good. So number 1 is the one that I think people get the biggest boost off initially when they're starting weight loss, but they find it really difficult to accept why they can't lose weight past a certain point. Okay, the second one ties in a little bit into the third one. So we're going to do just a brief hop on the second one, and then we'll go a little more in depth on the third. I have a lot more experience in the third myself, so it's a little bit easier to relate. The second one, wanting to enhance your physical ability. Say, like I mentioned, you want to join a sport team, you have a partner that's very active and you're not as active. You want to catch up so you guys can do more things together. Say you're slightly overweight and you're a parent and you want to be able to play with your kids. All these different things, you just want a small boost. You want to be able to do more things, feel more active. You don't want to be tired as fast. And that's going to be achieved through exercise and diet, just like we talked about earlier. I'm not going to go into the way to do it, but the goals here are, maybe you want to be able to take your kids for a walk. Maybe you want to be able to carry your kids on your shoulder, pull them on a sled in the wintertime. Then maybe you'll jump up to bike riding. Maybe you couldn't have done that before. And then maybe all of a sudden bike riding is easy. In the summertime now you want to go rollerblading, which, sitting back on your couch a couple months ago might have seemed impossible. So little jumps, and then each time you hit a goal, you're going to reevaluate and you're going to say, well, that wasn't so hard. What do I want to do next? Or you might even shift directions. Maybe all of a sudden you changed from you want to be more active to, well, I want to be able to do something. I want to be able to lift bigger things. I want to play sports. I want to be able to do something a little more aggressive. Then all of a sudden, we're not just trying to get our wind. We're not just trying to be a little more active. We want to be a lot more active. And because we have that step in between, it's not an impossible feat. It doesn't seem crazy. It's just a small progression, and we're going to keep progressing on and on. And that'll lead us into the third one. Okay, for the third one here, I got a couple pictures I want to share with you. Just going over progressions in my life that I've been setting goals, maybe even subconsciously, starting off with one goal and then branching from that goal to another goal to another goal, and then looking at myself now and where I am. I can see all the steps back, but I never ever would have imagined that I would have gotten this far or this direction from the starting point. So I'll grab a picture here, and again, I hope it shows up fairly well resolution-wise. So that is me on, well, that's me, the big kid. Sorry, it's very glary. Whoop, oh man. Okay, it's not locking it real well, but quite large. And there's nothing wrong with being big, nothing wrong at all. I just want to show you a starting point. I wear a size 48 pants, I think, which to me now is huge. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody. 48 is not a bad size. Just in retrospect, it was a lot bigger than I am now, and I never thought that I could get down to being as small as I am now. So here's another quick picture. That was probably around the same time. Like a fairly husky kid. I was active in gym class. I liked sports, but what I was eating compared to what I was doing was just a bad ratio, and it led to a life just getting bigger and bigger. So when I moved to Edmonton, I made the conscious decision to join a gym because I wanted to lose weight and I didn't know how. I focused really hard. My goal was to lose weight, was to get skinny, to get more attractive, because I had huge self-esteem problems. I still do even now. It's always going to be with me no matter what I do. I'm always worried that I'm unattractive to my partner, to other people. You shouldn't worry about that kind of stuff. You should only focus on yourself. Make sure you're happy and healthy, and then you'll relate that outwards to other people. Worry about yourself, not what other people think. In hindsight, I should have focused on that a lot sooner. Here's another one. When I was quite skinny, I think I was down to about 185 pounds. Sorry, I guess. There you go. Skinny Phil, but tan. And I was really happy. I had never been that small as far as I can remember back to junior high, and I felt really good about myself. I felt like I looked great. I felt great. I wasn't going out, flaunting myself and then being, a total asshole about it. But I felt good inside, and so I felt good inside, and so that was expressed outwardly to friends and family, and they noticed, saying like, you're a lot more confident, you're a lot more happy, and I felt great. But I got tired of being skinny after a while because the trainer I was with, he's a big, masculine, muscular guy, and I was like, I want to look like that. I remember back when I was a kid. At the movie theater watching The Mummy, and I was just like, that big guy, man, I wish I could look like him. I remember at the time I was just like, I would give $100,000, which was to me at the time like all the money in the world, and I would give anything I ever made just to look like that guy, because I didn't think it was possible. But I knew all people all of a sudden that were that big, and they got that big somehow. So my next goal was to go from skinny to develop some shape, some size. But I was still stuck in the exercise regime and the diet regime for being skinny. So I needed to adjust my exercise and my diet to achieve a different goal. So I started eating more. I started doing heavier exercises. Still kept up cardio because I like cardio, but I was definitely doing a lot more weightlifting, a lot heavier weights, and then the proper meshed into the proper routine for gaining size. I remember one day I put on my shirt. I had a red shirt, and all of a sudden I was just like, I have shoulders, like shoulder caps, and I was just like, yes, I was so excited. I was so excited. It was just from doing the right exercises and eating the right amount of food. And all of a sudden, like little kid in me was just like, yeah, go, Phil, go. And then since then, it's just been a springboard just from one thing to another thing to another thing. I wanted to be more athletic. I wanted to get really big, like a big monstrous kind of guy. Like right now, I think 225 pounds, which is pretty light for me, to be honest. But I'm a lot more defined, I guess, now than I've ever been before. And that was another thing around Christmas time. I started getting back into a harder fitness plan, and recently I've been going through a lot of stressful stuff. And it's been kind of a staying point for me, like exercise, keeping me focused. And I noticed one day that I was just like, I almost have abs, and I've never had abs before. So, you know what, Phil? New goal. We're gonna get abs. And well, I'll show you. This isn't sort of not a vanity plug, but this myself right now, I never ever thought I would have achieved. And if I could show like adolescent Phil what I look like now, I would have been like high fived. Like I've never ever had that before. I've never felt big and strong and muscular before, and if I could show that to my younger self, I don't know what he would do. I'd probably just get bear hugged to the ground, to be honest. So I want everybody to understand that just because something seems far off and it seems hard and unattainable, the shirt's backwards, how embarrassing me. Just because it seems unattainable at the moment, it's not. When you're at the end of your journey, you're going to look back and you're going to look at all the little steps that made it possible to get to where you want to be, and it's not going to seem so insurmountable. So let's start small. Let's set some goals. Let's be realistic. Your own goals, not other people's goals. Don't try to copy other people. You want to pick something that's important to you, achieve that, and then move on to the next one. Okay? And if you have any questions, please message me, Facebook me, whatever you want. I'll try to help you as much as I can.